Hey, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to another Season 7 Champion Guide. Today I'm going to cover one of the best support champions at the moment, Support Lulu, the Phase Sorceress.
Come on, you! Let's dance! Ha!
So first let's cover why exactly you might want to pick Lulu. Well, first off, she has very good harassment, and she's one of the biggest lane bully supports out there. As strong as her abilities are offensively, they also have very good defensive uses as well, and can really save your AD carry. With her ultimate, shield, and speed boost, she's also extremely good against assassins. Even if a really fed assassin jumps on a very squishy AD carry, you still have a chance of saving them. She then even has multiple viable build paths. Sure, you usually go for a support build, but if you do need to add some damage, you can always build some AP. Finally, with all the really high damage champions in the meta right now, she's great in the current meta since she's great at saving champions. With all that said, however, she does have a rather high skill cap. Your abilities have pretty long cooldowns, and since they do have an offensive and a defensive use, you need to choose which one you're supposed to use in each situation you're in. She then requires some pretty good team coordination as well. She's really strong at tower dive since you have your ultimate shields and speed boost, but if people aren't going to tower dive and get free kills, then she's not going to be that great of a champion. Finally, if none of your carries make great use of your attack speed buff, you're not as strong as you would normally be. Typically, you're fantastic with something like a Kog'Maw that makes really good use of attack speed, but you're not going to be great with other AD carries that don't auto-attack too much and rely more on spells. For my Masteries, I like to really focus on being a lane bully and go 18 Cunning and 12 Resolve, grabbing Thunderlord's Decree as my Keystone Mastery. This will add some really nice harassment on the enemy champion, and as long as you can hit them with an E ability and then auto-attack them twice, you'll get off a really easy Thunderlords. For the rest of your Masteries, you'll want to focus on getting as much damage as possible, while also remaining at least a little bit tanky. If you want to be more of a true support, then you could always go for Windspeaker's Blessing since you do have a shield ability, but generally, I'll always go for Thunderlords. Your runes are quite different than the traditional support. You want attack speed reds, health yellows, ability power blues, and ability power quints. This probably sounds weird to some of you guys, but all the pro players take runes like this, and it really works well on Lulu. Your spells are going to be doing a lot of damage because of the ability power, and you're going to be able to put out a lot of auto attacks. Since you are lacking armor in these runes, if you were worried about being too squishy, you could take 1 or 2 armor quints instead of the ability power. You're going to be putting out a ton of damage in the lane phase, and there's not many supports and AD carries that can deal with all the damage you're going to be outputting. For your first summoner spell, you'll want to grab Flash. You're a pretty squishy champion, so if you get caught in a bad position, Flash can be used to save your life. Of course, you're also able to flash forward to finish off a kill with either Help Picks or Glitter Lance. Exhaust is then a good option for your second summoner spell. It's a really solid defensive spell that can be used to save your carries throughout the game. In a 2v2 skirmish, this will also greatly reduce the enemy's damage and should give you a massive advantage. You do also have the option of taking Ignite, and it's a really good option because Exhaust was recently nerfed. This is the spell you'll want to take if you are looking for some added kill pressure in lane and you're with a really solid early AD carry. Now let's kick off your abilities with your passive Pix Fairy Companion, which adds some really nice damage onto your autos. So Lulu is assisted by Pix, a fairy, who fires a barrage of 3 bolts to her target every time she uses a basic attack against a unit, dealing between 5 and 39 based on level, plus 5% AP bonus magic damage with each bolt for each enemy it hits, for a total of 15 to 117 based on level, plus 15% AP bonus magic damage per basic attack. That was a really long sentence, holy shit. The bolts can be blocked by units in the way of Lulu's target. Casting Help Pix on an ally transfers Pix's help to them for the duration. So this is a really nice ability because with all that attack speed we took from our runes, we'll be auto-attacking rather often, and this will output a lot of extra damage. Of course, in the later stages of the game when Pix is on your AD carry and they have a lot of attack speed, Pix is going to be going nuts. Keep in mind, however, that the bolts will be blocked by units in front of Lulu. Your Q is Glitter Lance, and this is a really nice poking ability that does some pretty decent damage and slows. When activated, Lulu and Pix each fire a magic bolt towards the target point, dealing magic damage to the first enemy they pass through, reduced to 70% against enemies thereafter, and slowing them by 80%, decaying over 2 seconds. Each bolt's first target takes full damage, while enemies hit by both take the highest damage between the two, or the difference between them depending on targeting priority. So it is a pretty decent ability, but it's not as reliable damage as our E ability, and our W is definitely the one we want to max first, so we have to leave this one for last. Just make sure you take 1 early point in the ability so you can use it for a slow if you want to engage, or of course to kite away. Your W ability is Whimsy, and this has great offensive and defensive uses. On ally casts, Lulu casts Erratic Magic upon the allied champion, giving them bonus attack speed and 30% plus 5% per 100 AP bonus movement speed for the next few seconds. On enemy casts, Lulu turns the target enemy champion into a harmless critter, polymorphing them and reducing their base movement speed by 60 for a short duration. Both durations scale as well as the bonus attack speed, and the range is 650. So this is a very strong ability that you'll want to max first because of the scaling durations. If you want to increase your AD carry's damage or give them a little bit of movement speed so they can kite, it's very solid on ally cast. If an enemy assassin jumps onto one of your squishy carries, then you'll probably want to use this instead to polymorph them so they can kite away or possibly kill the target beforehand. But as I said, fantastic ability, and after we get some points into our E ability, we'll want to max this first. Your E ability is Help Picks, and this is another really solid defensive and offensive ability. On ally cast, Lulu sends picks to the target ally, shielding them for 6 seconds if they are a champion. Then on enemy cast, Lulu sends picks to the target enemy, dealing magic damage and granting true sight of them for 4 seconds. Both of these have pretty decent base numbers and okay ratios with a 650 range. It's a really solid ability in the lane phase, so we'll want to get 3 points in it and then focus on maxing our W ability. This is also a point and click ability, so you'll want to use it on the enemy champion, then follow up with 2 auto attacks to get off an easy Thunderlord's proc. Your ultimate is Wild Growth, and it's an extremely solid defensive ability that can save your teammates over and over throughout a game. When activated, Lulu enlarges the target allied champion, knocking up units around them for 0.75 seconds, increasing their bonus health, and causing them to slow nearby units for 7 seconds. The bonus health is pretty huge at between 300 and 600 plus 50% AP with a between 30 and 60% slow. So this ability is pretty damn strong because you can chain CC with it if you wanted to on an engaging champion or use it to save an AD carry. Both are very viable, but if something like a Zac jumps into a team and he's near 4 targets, I'll use this on him to pop them up and slow the targets so all my carries have an easier time kiting. Of course, if an assassin does jump onto a squishy carry, then it's much better used on them in that situation. This ability here is pretty much single-handedly the reason Lulu is such a strong champion at the moment. For your skill order, you'll first want to put a point into your ultimate whenever you can at 6, 11, and 16. Then you'll want to focus on getting 3 points into your E ability so you have some really strong lane dominance. It's really strong for harassing, and it's also really solid to put a shield on your AD carry so they don't take any damage from skill shots. Then for its incredible offensive and defensive uses, you'll want to max your W ability first. Now you'll want to save your Q ability for last, but you'll want to take 1 point in it at level 1 or level 2. If I feel like I need the slow at level 1, I'll take it, but generally I'll take the E at level 1 if I don't need that. Now let's look at a couple AD carry synergies, and first up is Caitlyn. Caitlyn is also a big time lane bully, and this is one of the strongest lanes you can form in all of League of Legends. Your Whimsy will give her the speed to catch up to people, and of course increase your auto attack speed, proccing more of her headshots. She has some okay mobility, but she's not the most mobile champion out there, and your ultimate can save her multiple times throughout a game. Now my personal favorite Kog'Maw, which isn't as lane dominant as Caitlyn, but late game is just absolutely ridiculous. In the late game, if you put Help Picks and Whimsy on a Kog'Maw, he has enough damage to easily 1v5 teams as long as you can keep him safe. Poke in the lane phase as much as you can to keep people from engaging onto him, and if he does get engaged on, use your ultimate and have him go nuts with your Whimsy. Next we have Lucian, who's not as auto attack reliant as Caitlyn or Kog'Maw, but he's very aggressive and wants to trade very often, which is great with Lulu. He already outtrades the majority of AD carries and supports early on, but with your added Whimsy damage and speed, he's gonna outtrade them even easier. Of course, then when you add your own damage, you guys are very lane dominant. Last here I have Twitch, who's not quite as late game dominant as a Kog'Maw, but he's pretty damn close, especially if the enemy team is clumped up. If Twitch is also trying to assassinate a target and he's stealthed, you can quickly Whimsy him to get him there even quicker, and he's gonna have the attack speed to do it relatively easily. In a late game teamfight, all you have to pretty much do is when he pops out of stealth, put Whimsy on him and watch him melt the entire enemy team. Lulu is a very solid champion early on, and you should be looking to bully the enemy as much as you can. You can hit the enemy with either your Glitter Lance or your Help Picks, and then 2 auto attacks to easily proc Thunderlord's Decree and do some really nice harassment. Always remember that you don't need to be getting kills to win the lane phase. Bully the enemy AD carry whenever you can and try to get your AD carry in early CS league. This is a great way to get the lane snowballing if they can buy an extra item on their first back and be stronger than the enemy AD carry. Since you're also really quick with your Whimsy, you can look to roam mid or into the enemy jungle with help. This yet again is another really easy way to get your team snowballing. In teamfights, Lulu has some pretty long cooldowns, so you'll have to be very careful when you're using some of your abilities. In a typical teamfight early on, you may only get to use one Whimsy, so make sure you decide how you're going to use it, and either give it to your ally to help them peel and add damage, or disable a high damage champion if you think they're going to dive onto one of your carries. As damage scales, however, you might have to use your abilities really quickly, which is going to require some really solid decision making. Quickly calculate damage coming in, and make sure you get your Wild Growth on your ally in time. If you do, however, have a champion with a hard engage and they're near a lot of enemies, you can use your ultimate on them as well to chain CC and add a slow. Now we're going to look at a couple hard matchups, and keep in mind Lulu is a very strong support champion and all these matchups are very winnable. But anyways, first of course, we have Blitzcrank. Against him, of course, as I'm sure most of you know, you have to hide behind minions as much as you can and don't get grabbed. This goes 2 times for you because if your AD carry does get grabbed, at least you have a chance of getting them out, but if you get pulled in and Blitzcrank silences you, you're pretty much dead. Avoid his grabs throughout the lane phase and poke him as much as you can. Next here we have Janna, and although she doesn't bring a lot of kill potential on you, she has very solid defensives. She should be able to consistently shield the damage from your attacks and keep her AD carry safe in the process. As long as you're with a stronger AD carry in the late game, all you have to do is play passively and farm, but if she has a stronger AD carry, then you're gonna have to try to kill her, and of course, the enemy AD carry. Next we have Nautilus, who's a very tanky champion with shields, and he can block a lot of your damage. Then, when he feels like all-inning your squishy ass, he has his Q and his ultimate. Against him, you're gonna have to make sure you're keeping your range, and make sure you block his Q with minions. Like always, poke him down as much as you can so he doesn't ever want to actually engage into you, and when you can, go for an all-in and kill him. Last here we have Sona, who's a champion that can rival your poke damage, yet also has built-in sustain. You're gonna have to try to land your poke on her as much as you can and get through her mana. The problem, however, is she's also going to be spamming poke on you and doing a lot of damage, so you may have to use your shields on yourself or your AD carry. But other than that, after she's blown through her mana and she can't keep up with the sustain anymore, try to go for an all-in. But now let's look at our item build, which starts with a Spell Thief's Edge, health potions, and a warding totem. For your core build, you want to get Eye of the Watchers, Redemption, and an Ardent Censer. Eye of the Watchers is of course great because it's a gold generating item that can also ward and add some AP. Redemption is fantastic for the nice healing it provides and the bonus shield, and of course Ardent Censer for the bonus shield as well. For your boot options, we first have Moby Boots if you want to spend a lot of time roaming, Ionian Boots if you want 10% CDR, Ninja Tabbies against a high AD team, and Merc Treads against a high AP and CC heavy team. For your item pool, we first of course have the Locket. This is a fantastic support item, but these days it is not required. If you are, however, against a champion with a lot of AoE damage like a Brand, then a Locket is basically a must-buy. Now, of course, you could always get a Mikhail's as well. It is a fantastic item if there is a lot of CCs on the enemy team, and you feel like you're going to need to get your AD carry out of one. If you're then starting to snowball in the lane, you could always get a Magi's. This is a fantastic way to get some early AP into your build, and it can really output a lot of damage and make the lane phase a nightmare for the enemy. As you already buff your AD carry with attack speed, well, you could always get a Zeke's and give them even more buffs. It's a really good item, but it does require some level of coordination, so I don't pick it up too much myself. Then, if the enemy does have some ZZ Rot portals, then you may want to buy one yourself just to counter push their ZZ Rot portal. For our next item, we have the Athenes, which is a pretty decent item since you do have a shield, but also not one I take too often. Then finally, we have the Guardian Angel, basically an item any champion in the game can get just to come back to life in the later stages of the game, so you have a chance to make more plays. For my example full build though, I take that normal core build, get Moby Boots because I spend a lot of the game roaming, and then a Locket and a Mikhail's. This will give us a ton of really solid defensive items, CDR cap us, and make us pretty quick at the same time. But that, ladies and gentlemen, covers everything I've got for Support Lulu in Season 7. Don't forget to check out the video description below for a link to all my social medias, and keep in mind that my Twitch is down there as well, and I now stream every single day besides Tuesday at 7 PM Eastern Time, so that's one you should definitely check out. For everybody who used to use my website all the time, it's now back up and updated. But other than that, thank you guys a ton for checking out the video, I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.